President Trump is having a difficult time accepting the reality that he lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden. Now, while the president has not addressed the public directly, he has taken to Twitter and proceeded to engage in a multi-tweet meltdown, many of which had to be flagged by Twitter for misinformation. The very first thing the president said yesterday, right around the time that every news outlet called the election for Joe Biden, Donald Trump said this, quote, "I won this election by a lot." Now, as you can see, Twitter has flagged this tweet saying official sources may not have called the race when this was tweeted. In other words, the president was saying that he won, though no one called the election in his favor, only for the reality to sink in that he lost to Joe Biden. But it gets a lot worse. CNN is reporting that Jared Kushner has approached President Trump about conceding the election. So the president is having a very difficult time letting go and conceding the election, as evidenced by the tweet storm he went on Twitter. Let's take a look at a few more of those tweets that were flagged for misinformation. Donald Trump said, quote, "The observers were not allowed into the counting rooms. I won the election, got 71 million legal votes. Bad things happened, which observers were not allowed to see. Never happened before. Millions of mail-in ballots were sent to people who never asked for them." And again, you can see Twitter having to flag this tweet saying that this claim about election fraud is disputed. This was yesterday afternoon at 4:53 p.m. So this is after Joe Biden had already been announced the winner by all of the major news outlets, including Fox News. Donald Trump actually took to Twitter saying that he won and that this was a fraud because, quote, "bad things happened." And then 1 minute later, the president tweeted this: 71 million legal votes, the most ever for a sitting president. Yes, that part is true. It is the most votes any sitting president has ever had, but it wasn't enough votes to defeat Joe Biden. Then after going silent for the rest of the evening, Donald Trump woke up this morning and decided to tweet former Republican Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich and his appearances across media. And this is what he said on Twitter, quote, "We believe these people are thieves. The big city machines are corrupt. This was a stolen election. Best pollster in Britain wrote this morning that this clearly was a stolen election, that it's impossible to imagine that Biden outran Obama in some of these states." And again, Twitter is having to flag this, saying this claim about election fraud is disputed. So the president has no intention of going out or bowing out gracefully. He continued with his tweet storm and said the following, quote, "Where it mattered, they stole what they had to steal," quoting Newt Gingrich. And again, another flag from Twitter saying this claim about election fraud is disputed. All of the flags from Twitter didn't stop the president from continuing to push this lie that the election was fraudulent and that he was cheated out of the presidency. The president continued on Twitter saying, quote, "We should look at the votes. We're just beginning the tabulation stage. We should look at these allegations. We're seeing a number of affidavits that there has been voter fraud. We have a history in this country of election problems. In Pennsylvania, you had an order by," there's another flag on this tweet saying this claim about election fraud is disputed. In Pennsylvania, you had an order by a Supreme Court justice to compel them to separate ballots that were received after the legislative deadline. It required the intervention of Justice Alito. That's a large group of ballots. When you talk about systemic problem, it's about, and again, before I even continue, there's another flag. This claim about election fraud is disputed. So on and so forth. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to continue reading this because it's just spreading more misinformation and disinformation. And this is why Twitter flagged all of them with more information on how you can learn how voting by mail is safe and secure. The president's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, held a press conference yesterday afternoon at the Four Seasons, not the hotel, but the lawn service. I'll have an entire video about that fiasco momentarily. But this is what he said.
"I know this city has a sad history of voter fraud. After all, Joe Frazier is still voting here. Kind of hard since he died 5 years ago, but Joe continues to vote. If I recall correctly, Joe was a Republican, so maybe I shouldn't complain. But we should go see if Joe is voting Republican or Democrat now from the grave. Also, Will Smith's father has voted here twice since he died. I don't know how he votes because his vote is secret. In Philadelphia, they keep the votes of dead people secret. At least that is something that you can be commended for."
So all the way around the board, Donald Trump's team is having a major meltdown because they cannot accept the fact that he lost to Joe Biden. And you would think that the president would at least try to save face and at least try to go out with some dignity, but he has no dignity. He has no shame. He is shameless. And his children are not far behind him. This is what Donald Trump Jr. said on Twitter. He said, 70 million pissed off Republicans and not one city burned to the ground. Well, okay, if that makes you feel better, Don Jr. Eric Trump said the following, quote, does anyone believe that Biden, a candidate who had a tough time filling a room, got 8.89 million more votes than Obama in 2012? This while real Donald Trump set vote records never seen before in the Republican Party, achieved 7.5 million more votes in 2016, and it's down. So he can accept the fact that there's bigger turnout in 2020 for his father, but he can't accept the fact that there was a bigger turnout in 2020 for Joe Biden because so many people really just disliked his father. So it looks as though the report from Vanity Fair saying that Donald Trump said that the Secret Service was going to have to carry him out kicking and screaming might actually be true because he does not look like he's going to bow out gracefully. And personally, I hope he doesn't. I hope we get the full excitement and experience of Donald Trump being carried out by the Secret Service kicking and screaming because it's 2020. And you know what? We deserve to have something good.